Earful Tower listeners, today we have an interview with Nico, the owner of the HolyBelly restaurant down in the 10th. He talks about his ideal guest, why he used to hate the word brunch, and also about the story when Macaulay Culkin came in for a breakfast. But before we get to that, we've got a bit of Earful Tower news. The biggest of that is, in case you missed it last week, that James Vazina, my trusty sidekick, has left the show. So he's moved on to London and I'm sitting here by myself today, and what that means for you guys is that essentially if I do a joke, there's no one here to laugh about it, and he's not here to edit it either, which means that if I was to edit one of his laughs in, it's me that's got to do it. Luckily for everyone, I've got a bit of his laughter saved from a previous episode. But what it really means is now this is a one-man show. I'm the producer, the editor, the co-host, pretty much everything. The good news, however, is that the show has never been more popular. September last month, we had a record-breaking number of listeners, over 10,000, which by my mathematics is 20,000 ears, or 19,999 if Van Gogh is still subscribed. Yes, see, that's what happens when I edit. But in all honesty, we're thrilled with these. In all honesty, I'm thrilled with these numbers. It's really good to see that something that was started at zero has come so far. And I want to say a big thanks to everyone for listening. You came here to listen to Nico from HolyBelly. That's what I'm going to play for you guys now. Thanks for all your support so far and hopefully into the future. Here's a chat that I had with Nico from HolyBelly inside his restaurant. So that's why you hear a bit of music in the background, a bit of cluttering of knives and forks. You'll feel like you're sitting right there with us. But of course, you won't be able to chip in with any funny lines. But enjoy the episode and stay tuned at the end for Corey Frye with one of his stories, also coffee related. Let's do it.
Earful Tower with HolyBelly.
Okay, Nico from HolyBelly.
Yes.
Some people say HolyBelly.
Yeah. I mean, the name is what it is. You just put it out there and people do what they want with it.
What is the name? What does it mean?
The name it was all about showing what we were all about, which is, giving you good food and good coffee. So we take care of your belly. It's sacred. It's holy. It's the HolyBelly,
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's...
And this firstly, this is, I think, the only brunch, lunch, breakfast place I've seen with a queue out the front in my life in Paris.
Well, I guess
that could be where I'm going, but
no, I mean we still pretty much not alone. I think there's other players now, but I guess on our scale and the food that we do and how much work we put into it in terms of we've got a big kitchen going, we've got a lot of cooks, and so we just
How did you get a queue? What is it that you're doing to get a queue?
The queue, I guess it just it's the snowball effect. We opened small in 2013, and then we kind of documented the whole process of opening. So we built that early following, and then those people came when we first opened, and then they went back home. They told their friends, and then more friends came, and they told more friends, and I guess that's just the way it worked out, and then a bit of Instagram and some blog posts and it being very organic and just being very transparent about the whole journey, and I think people kind of respond to that and they all want to come get a piece of it, and then you get a queue, I guess.
Is the same thing working with this new place where we're sitting now, the new HolyBelly?
It is. I was gonna say unfortunately, but it's kind of fortunate because there's a lot of mouth to feed now. We've about 23 on the payroll, so it's kind of nice that we still get a queue. But the goal when we signed the lease on this new space was to get rid of the queue, and offer more seating, so there'll be more turnover and there'll be less queue.
So what are we looking at now? How many seats are there?
We're looking at roughly 95 seats.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Compared to what was the last
Compared
one?
to used to be 43.
Okay.
Yeah, because we first opened HolyBelly 2013 with about 30 seats, and then we closed 2 years later and we redid everything, and then we managed to get another 10, 13 more seats, and then that still wasn't enough. And then this space became available on the street, and I was riding my bike past the shop, and there was a sign on the window, and it's 160 square meters, and we try to make it feel comfy and but still get a lot of seats in.
So people who maybe don't, for those few people who have never heard of you before, you got it written on your, I think it's on your menu that it says, or it's everywhere, it says it's good because we care.
Yeah.
I got a question about that.
Go for it.
Is that sort of having a dig at other people, perhaps saying they don't care?
Well,
Because surely all restaurants care, no?
Do you? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not in the business. I'm asking you.
I'm telling you, it's no. Like the answer is no. If you see our industry as this global thing, the answer is no. If you see what we do, and you kind of like close the circle a little bit and kind of pinpoint the few people that are like the few and many people that are doing a good job, then absolutely everybody does care. Like if you talk about the places that we talk about. Yes, of course, all these people care, but like if you see Paris as a whole, there's a lot of places that really don't care, especially in our niche of breakfasts, and brunch. It's been so bastardized over the years, And
How has it been bastardized?
oh well, when you say brunch to someone, even 5 years ago, it used to be this basket of dry baked goods, and it was all you can eat, like buffet type, like 25 euros, and you'd get this like orange juice and stale bread and single portion butter and single portion jam, and it was all very sad looking, really. There was no real cooking involved, and so it was really important for us to kind of separate ourselves from this because we knew we were going to get called brunch, even though I'd rather call it breakfast myself, but people call it brunch.
So tell the listeners about how your breakfasts differ from the places around Paris serving the dry bread.
For me, I guess the main difference is that we actually do cook, and so it's not a matter of gathering a bunch of ingredients on a plate and calling it breakfast and charging top money for it. We make everything in-house, which is basic. It's crazy that you actually have to say that we make everything, we cook everything, but in our crazy, times, you have to actually underline the fact that you actually cook the food. And I like the fact that we treat breakfast and this all-day breakfast thing as a real meal, as a real type of cuisine as well. It's its own thing. Eggs and sides and pancakes. Everything is cooked à la minute. You actually need people that know how to cook to make it. And I think the reason why we still pretty much solo on that market, if you want to call it that, or that angle, it's that it's actually not that easy to pull off. And I think most people have been looking at it from the outside being like, hey, this sounds like a pretty, sound business, and it can't be that hard. Obviously, it's just eggs and coffee and some sides.
Right.
But if you want to get it to that level of, sophistication, or it's actually pretty simple, but if you want to get it done right, then you actually need to put in some actual work. And that's why it's good, because we care thing kind of encompass everything. And why is it good? What do we have a line? Blah blah blah. But just because we care.
And as you're saying this, we're sitting next to the kitchen at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's already, how many chefs are in there?
I think we've got about 3 right now.
That's
and you need that firepower, because you've got 95 seats. It's 9:15 right now. Give it another 30 minutes, and this place will be 2/3 full. And it matters to us that you get your food under 20 minutes. So for that, you need cooks.
Why don't you like the word brunch?
Well, for what all the reasons that I mentioned earlier is that
it's not a French word. I mean, maybe that's why French people don't get it.
I guess for me, it's just kind of when I close my eyes and I try to visualize the word brunch, I see hotel food. I see very sad displays of disgusting little croissants and bad bread and bad butter and people went crazy for it because it was so different. And I remember when Sarah and I would come back and just try to go for brunch 5-6 years ago, it was so depressing. And then you'd go back to Melbourne and they were doing something totally different, and no one would say brunch. People would call it breakfast. People would not make a big deal out of it. It was so fresh, it was so vibrant. It was real food against fake food, and but I think it's getting better. And I'm getting cooler about it. I used to be really fired up about us people calling us brunch,
really?
And then I was like, it's not a
Not
fight.
like giving them a test to come in the door and not letting them in, kind of
Pretty
thing.
well, if I would hear somebody go, "Oh yeah, HolyBelly, you guys do brunch," and then I would cringe a little bit, like, ugh, it would hurt physically, be like, "We're not brunch, we make breakfast, make good breakfast." And so with the years, it's been 4 years now. I was like, it's too much energy. I'm not gonna, call it what you want. What matters is what's in the plate. What matters is what we do. Acts over words, and if you want to call it brunch, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, what's in a word, right?
Exactly.
It's like a flat white or a creme. What's the difference?
It's coffee and milk,
Yeah.
But we call it flat white because I don't know. We say we Melbourne influence, which is true because I did my coffee training in Melbourne for a few years, and Sarah was in the kitchen over there as well. So I guess calling it a flat white is our tribute to where we come from.
You know the new thing with flat whites is they're calling them F-dubs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
F-dubs. Yeah. I don't know if we're cool enough for that yet.
It's pretty edgy. I maybe just invented it yesterday. But I can feel it coming.
Well,
along.
yeah. I mean, give it a few weeks and see if it catches. But
it's an Australian thing. You've got to shorten everything to get right.
Absolutely.
But you brought up Australian. I was born in Melbourne. Actually.
Okay. Oh, sweet.
So tell me, this is a broader question. How much has Australia affected this Paris specialty coffee scene and brunch scene?
From what I understand, like I don't think I know everything about it, but like for us, it's everything, of course. Like like I said, I learned coffee in Australia, in Melbourne, and Sarah, she was cooking before, but she really got her style and she really got her interest for breakfast in Melbourne and going to places like Auction Room or Duchess or Proud Mary or all these crazy cafes. Like when you're a 20-something French guy, and these places blow your mind, the scale of them and the beauty of the operation and the staff and the execution. And so it just it was the switch. When you listen to people talk about what got them going, there's always a mention of a switch and people really turning on. And I think for us, Melbourne was that. It was our switch, and going to these places and feeling that energy, it was so different. It was so exciting and attracting, and so there was no way we would do anything else after having experienced that. And so when we came back to Paris 2013, it felt like that energy was nowhere to be found, and you could get good coffee because some guys already came back from either Australia or New Zealand, and so they already brought that back. And
where was the good coffee back then?
I used to go to 10 Bells a lot in the early days, because it was I think still Thomas and Chris and Damien and Joe that were running it, and so it was the closest to what I was used to, and it was really good, and the camaraderie was real, and so we could talk about everything really, and coffee was delicious. But it was always limited in its offerings in the sense that it was always coffee and cake, or coffee and sandwich, or coffee and muffins. But there was nowhere where you could sit down and get a drip and get a plate of eggs and some beautiful sides, or get a signature dish. Like, you could get good food in Paris, you could get good coffee, you could never get them together, and I think that was our whole angle. Like, what, we've got a chef, we've got a barista, and we've got a small shop in the 10th. Let's put all this together and see if it works.
I'm interested in tasting your coffee. Do you think?
Let's get some coffees. I think they're just a little shy and they don't want to interrupt. But what are you drinking?
What are you drinking? I think a F-dub.
F-dub? Yeah, we can make one of those.
Should we do it?
Absolutely, and I'll get a coffee. I'll be right back. You want to come with?
Yeah, I'll come with. I'll come with it.
On va te prendre des petits cafés. Ouais, je sais. Hey, Georgie, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Yeah, good. So what we did with the new space is that we took all the usual suspects, like the dishes that were people really loved at HB19 is what we call it now, the other one, the older one, and we just put that all in one menu. And then when we're gonna reopen the smaller original one, we'll do something different about breakfast there. But so that's why here we've got the savory stack, which is like our classic pancakes with eggs and bacon.
So read it out. Read out some of the hits.
Yeah, so savory stack, like that's a big one. So 2 pancakes, 2 fried eggs, crispy bacon, bourbon butter. The bourbon butter is essential.
Yeah.
Bacon salt that we make in house as well with bacon trimmings and a lot of maple syrup. That's a good one.
I love the way that your menus are very casual. A bit of a legend, really.
Yeah. Well, you're telling a story when you're selling food, when you're selling anything really. You're selling a story first. So the savory stack is a legend. It was never supposed to stay on the menu more than a month, and then it really took off, and now we will never be able to take it off.
Yeah, right. Look at this. You got flat Walter White.
Flat Walter White.
One shot, thin milk, no meth.
No meth. Because when we opened 19 in 2013, it was, I think we were finishing watching Breaking Bad. Right. I think it was just like the day we opened, we kind of watched the finale maybe a couple of days before, and I was like, flat Walter White. It kind of clicked. Again,
the series that you're watching always have an influence on the menu. What are you watching now?
I'm on a bunch of stuff, but
we'll be able to tell by coming.
Yeah, you'll know. Come in a month, and you'll see what I'm watching. But it's like we've got some reference to Home Alone and like movies from our childhood, and our Wi-Fi password is Macaulay Culkin. And what else we've got?
He lives in Paris.
He does. He actually came to HolyBelly once because of the Wi-Fi password. Because there was an article in The Verge about a cafe in Paris having a Macaulay Culkin as a Wi-Fi password, and so actually through the grapevine he heard about it, and then one of the came and got me, and I was doing some paperwork in the back, and she was like, he's here, and I was like, who's here? It's like, come, and it was just, with 3 buddies and just having coffee, end of the afternoon, and he had the Wi-Fi card with his face on it.
No way.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really friendly and very chill, and I was like, are we cool? Like, do you want me to change the Wi-Fi password? Like, is this okay? And he was like, never change it. This is great. So yeah, and we just been waiting for him to ever come back for breakfast because I know he lives in Paris half of the year, Place de la République, very close by. Yeah. So we live in the hope that one day he'll come to experience the food.
It's nice that he came into the cafe because usually he's home alone.
Nice. Do you have like a drum kit sound clip? Yeah, see? It's true. Actually, I heard he lived with Pete Doherty.
Yeah.
They share a place together. That must be quite the lifestyle.
That Pete was out in the countryside somewhere.
Oh, there you go.
But the moral to your story is that it's quite easy to get a celebrity in. Just change your Wi-Fi password.
You're so smart. We've talked about this many times, and somebody was like, "Let's put Nick Cage is the new password."
Yeah.
Like
who's the biggest person? This is your chance. Which is the biggest celebrity you'd like to see in your?
Oh man, you know what's funny? I was actually thought about doing like a section on our website where like each staff member would list 3 names of celebs that they'd love to see at the cafe. Mine, honestly, I'm a movie buff, so it'd be definitely something movie related. I don't know from the top of my head, like it's hard, man.
Have to be top of the head. That's the show, man.
Well. I don't know. I've thought about this so many times. Okay, if Jay-Z actually would come, I would blow my mind, because we listen to, it's classic cafe closing music. When you close a cafe, put some Jay-Z on, it gives you the juice to close.
He'd come with his entourage and you'd be full.
It'd be okay. Like I would close it down for him. That would be fantastic. I don't know, then someone cool like Obama, someone who just enjoys food and enjoys flavors, and that'd be fun, he's just a fun guy. And
third? Who's your third?
Third, let's make it movie, Daniel Craig, just like,
Daniel Craig,
just like classy British.
I know how to get him in.
Oh yeah?
I know how to get him in. Change your flat white description and write shaken not stirred.
Yeah. Hey guys, that's Daniel Craig outside.
Good work.
That'd be great. There's just top 3, but there's a bunch I'd love to come. I'd like everybody to come really, but
I'd like to have Luc Besson.
Luc Besson.
The truth is, I don't know what he looks like.
You really don't?
I just know his movies.
Oh, well, he's pretty significant looking, though. Yeah.
You seeing him around Paris, or?
I'm sure he's around. Like, I don't think they hang out in our neighborhood so much, but, he's done a lot for Paris and France, and, like, he's really, he's around.
I just watched Nikita the other day.
Oh, that was classic. Yeah. Classic. Yeah, I'd love all these guys to come, Jean Reno, and, that'd be great. But
it's interesting that all your celebrities were English-speaking ones.
It's true. I'm what am I gonna say? Grew up in the 90s, watching a lot of American movies, listening to a lot of American music. It's.
How come you ended up in Melbourne?
Moved from France to Vancouver.
So the long way.
The long way. I was trying to Sarah and I were trying to get as far from Paris as we could to get a real experience abroad. And Montreal felt too French, so Vancouver it was. And then being in Vancouver, we met a bunch of Australians because that's what they do. They tend to spend a couple of years in Vancouver.
Oh, everywhere.
You've done that too? Oh, everywhere. They do travel a lot.
Did you meet any Australians when you were in Melbourne, or were they all in Vancouver?
Yeah. Well, that's what got us there, because we were just enjoying Vancouver so much, and our Australian friends were like, well, if you guys enjoying Vancouver, you will definitely love Melbourne, so you should give us a go. And so after 3 years in Vancouver, we're like, should we go home? Should we travel some more? And we're like, you know what? Let's see what Melbourne's like. And then we just went over there. It was great. And then 1 year turns into 2, turns into 3, and that was that, really.
Is that how you learned English so well? Was it?
It was Vancouver for sure. Yeah, just the traveling, a bit of school, and then a bit of traveling, and then just really enjoying the language as a thing. I think it's a great language. I have a lot of fun talking it, writing it. So I try to be good at it.
Let's talk a little bit outside the cafe world and restaurant world. How's the drink?
I don't know. We'll see.
How's your drink, by the way?
It's great.
What is it that you got?
So we've got ice filter here, summer classic. We just brew some coffee over ice, and just yummy.
Nice. Who's doing your coffee?
We're in between 2 roasters at the moment. Café Belleville, of course, the originals, good friends of ours. So they've been supplying the shop since the early days. And then recently we had a bit of fun getting some coffee from Kopi, which is another roaster, and fantastic coffee. So we just go back and forth. Right now, Belleville's coming back, and then we'll get some more coffee. There's a lot of, the coffee world right now is booming, and there's a million roasters, and there's a lot of good things going on. It's hard to make a choice sometimes, so we try to keep it in the family.
What about if I do stick with coffee for a sec? If you could recommend a place to get a coffee in Paris that you're not connected to.
A place to get a coffee.
Give a shout out to someone. Or do you don't do that?
Well, so no, I can do shout outs. It's the places that I used to love are no more. And in the meantime, I've been really busy with work and having a child. So the good old days of like riding my bike around and getting a coffee here and there is over.
Yeah.
If I would be to have a coffee somewhere today, I would go to La Fontaine. I like La Fontaine. Yeah, it's cool. I like the contrast between, old France, new coffee.
It's up in Belleville.
On the way up, and it's a bright, beautiful old space, and the coffee's always really good. And so I guess that's where I would go now.
So that's what you just mentioned. You like to bicycle around, and you bring up a kind of a bit of a negative point about Paris is that owning a bike can see your bike stolen.
Oh yeah,
this is something you've been hit by before.
This very morning.
Tell me, are you a Parisian?
I'm not I wasn't born here. Okay. I spent many years here. But because of my dad's job, we moved around a lot. So I was born in the south and then went up and down and yeah.
So as a residing Parisian, can you explain to me why all your good stuff gets stolen in this city?
Well, it's something that I'm still trying to figure out, and it's bumming me out because I feel like I've lived in such respectful cities before, and I feel like in Vancouver, there was some theft and Melbourne as well, but I was in Copenhagen last year and all the bikes were unlocked, and then you're here, and it just feels like if you turn your head for a minute, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
And
what happened this morning?
This morning I was supposed to be here on time, and then I went to unlock my bike, and the front wheel was gone, and it's just like every time I get that little punch in the face, it's like it just hurts me personally that somebody took my stuff.
Do you think is it just because it's a big city, or do you think it's some kind of mentality here? Or?
I think there's it's funny because it's about a 4-minute walk from my house to here, and I used that time to think about it, and I was like, to me, Paris, and actually nowadays, I think we're going back to a Western type civilization and society where it's all for its own, because I've tried to deal with the police in the past when the shop got broken into. Original HolyBelly got broken into 3 times in 3 years, This space has been open 2 months and we already had a break-in, so I feel like it's kind of all for its own, you just gotta take care of yourself, and I try to go to the police and there's really not much they can do, and actually they're very clear about that they'll give it a go, but there's many chances that it's not going to go anywhere. And so my vibe now is that I need to make my place very safe, like the old days. You need to make your door very strong, and you need to lock your windows, and because you're on your own, and for the bike it's the same. You leave it outside, you need a big lock, you need to lock your wheels. I don't know, it feels like you really need to protect your stuff and protect your own, and
you're making me nervous about my scooter outside.
Well, keep an eye on it is all I'm saying,
All right, on that note, we have to do the quick fire round.
Oh my god, it's too early for quick fire. Can we do a mid-speed fire?
No one's asked for a mid-speed fire.
It's 9:30, come on.
Okay, 5 questions at mid-speed.
Oh,
I've already put you on the spot a few times, and you have been at mid-speed so we'll take it easy.
Please.
It's about Paris. We're off coffee,
okay.
We're off food.
We're off.
Tell me your top favorite spot to take in the view of Paris.
Oh, wow. I'm the worst person to ask this.
Mid-fire.
Oh, well, my place. I love my balcony. I've got a beautiful view of the 10th. I guess I don't do these things, really, honestly.
You don't look at views of Paris? Everyone loves views of Paris.
I know, but I'm
okay, I'll let you get away with that, but
Thank
you can't say
Thank
home
you.
for any more of these. Okay?
Yeah, where's the best coffee? My house. I love my house.
Goodness.
Coffee's delicious.
Okay, so we're ruling out tourism then, because
yes,
you don't
please.
go around.
I'm
okay, let's
not
make
qualified.
it easy. Best French film ever made.
Come on,
Mid-fire.
Léon.
Léon, also known in English as The Professional.
The Professional, exactly.
And that's
Love that.
Jean Reno as Natalie Portman.
You can watch that movie every year since it was made, and it's just as an age, and just gets like an old wine. It just gets better and better and better. It's such a masterpiece.
It'll be a good costume for Halloween.
Oh man, that's actually yes. Yeah. Does it qualify as a French film though? I don't know.
Why not? Yeah, of course.
Most of the cast is American.
Anything with Jean Reno counts as a French film.
True,
that means
fact.
even Mission Impossible or whatever else. Okay, where were we up to? Question 3. Music. French music. What's some... Oh, no. What's some French music I should listen to? Hey, the whole show is about figuring out France. So you gotta help me understand this
I'm
country.
sorry.
A good French singer that I should listen to. Or band.
I was gonna say Phoenix, but
Phoenix is French.
they're French.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I love Phoenix, and I
Maybe
love that
should
they're
ask
French.
you questions about English-speaking America,
That would be
Hollywood, and
easier.
stuff like
That would be much easier.
No, we've still got 2 more.
Okay.
What's a really good street in Paris to walk down?
Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis.
Is that the one you live on?
Actually, I live at the end of it, but I love that street, and everybody knows it. It's very multicultural.
10th arrondissement there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very multicultural. There's a lot of food going on. It's got a great vibe. Rue du Faubourg Saint-Denis, between l'Arche Saint-Denis and Boulevard Magenta, that section of the street is awesome. You can eat anything. You can buy some food. You can just, people watch. Great place to people watch. Have a coffee anywhere. Don't drink the coffee. Just watch people go by.
Right.
It's not the Paris that people are expecting or the people are, I guess, want to see. But to me, it's the prettiest one. And I guess if you want to do some sightseeing and see the real Paris, I think it's all on the left bank. Really, if you want to see the pretty, I think pretty Paris is left bank, and I think functional, lively, real Paris is right bank. That's my take.
The edgy right bank.
It's edge or whatever you want to call it. But and I enjoy going to the left bank sometimes because I feel like I'm going on a trip or I'm going on a holiday, and you cross that water, you get over the Seine and it's like fuck me, I'm back in time. It's gorgeous, and then I go back to the right bank and I'm like, wow. I think it's true for many cities really. Like you've got the old pretty part and you've got the new energetic,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nico, with that, I was going to say my last question was left or right bank, so I think you've answered the 5th question.
Yes,
just like that.
I would say right bank.
Thanks for being on the show, Nico.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're at HolyBelly. If you haven't heard of it, you're doing something wrong with your breakfast experience, not your brunch experience. Breakfast.
Your breakfast.
And cheers for being on, and thanks for the coffee.
Well, my pleasure, man. And I'm sorry. I feel like I was really bad at those quick fire questions, and
not everybody is. It's not everybody's.
it's hard, man.
But then you get the honesty out of people.
Absolutely, that was my 100% honest proof.
Thanks for that, and appreciate it.
Pleasure, man.
So that was Nico from HolyBelly, and now I'm back in the studio with Corey Frye, a French fry in Paris.
It's a Corey story.
Paris Whisperer, I called you.
You called me that
Remember
back
that?
in the day, yeah, last year.
And now here we are, about to do a story.
Yes, I'm here with another story.
First, have you been to HolyBelly?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, good coffee.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Good brunch?
Good brunch. Are we allowed to use that word?
Well, I still use it. I think we're all right. I think we'll get away.
Fair enough.
Have you got a story related to...
I've got a story related to coffee and cafes.
That's what I like to hear. Let's do it.
This is not just any old cafe. This is the very first cafe, they say, in Paris, which is saying something considering this is the cafe capital of the world, right? So the oldest cafe, the very first cafe is called Le Procope.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. I think you might have gone there.
I think you recommended that as the best thing to see in the 5th, 6th arrondissement.
In the 6th, yeah.
6th.
Saint-Germain-des-Prés.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, so I was enthusiastic about this place last year when I told you about it, and now I want to give you a little bit more of the details and why it's so cool. There's a great story there. There's a lot of great details inside. So if you go to the Procope there, it founded 1686, and that was around a time where coffee was coming into Paris as a very rare and exotic import. It was super expensive, so it was really only for the upper crust of society. And that's why if you walk into the Procope, which you can do, by the way, if you tour Saint-Germain-des-Prés with me, I do a tour of that area. It's fantastic. I can take you up in the Procope and show you all this stuff.
Do they have to buy a drink? How does it work?
If you just walk in there off the street, I recommend you buy a drink before you roam around. But if you come in with me, they know me, and I can get you in.
You know, episode 25, season finale, I snuck in there to look. I needed the bathroom.
Yeah, I remember.
I snuck in there. James was panicking out the front. James, the producer, who's not with us anymore. He left the show. He's okay. Okay. So what about this place?
Okay, so about the Procope, there's so much great history. It's pretty much akin to a living museum inside. So back in the day, you had all of these dignitaries, as I said, the upper crust. There's a room named after Frédéric Chopin. from the composer spending all his time there. Voltaire was there all the time, and he wrote some of his seminal works of the Age of Enlightenment. And in fact, you can go upstairs and still find Voltaire's desk. They literally, I mean, this thing should be in a museum.
Wow.
They have Voltaire's original desk. Now, what he liked to do was he'd use that cafe as his office. Every single day, he was a fan of coffee mixed with chocolate, and he would drink 40 cups of it a day.
That's excessive,
Yeah,
Voltaire.
40 cups.
You know what would happen today? They'd kick him out. He's one of those guys that sit with a laptop in there.
Exactly.
He'd be kicked out. We wouldn't have any of his work.
Well, no, but he'd be buying 40 coffees, then he'd be all right.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure that the 40th was free,
Yeah,
right? I mean, he's got to have like a membership card where they punch the hole.
Yeah, something like that.
And
yeah.
like Voltaire, you know what? This last one's on us.
40 cups a day.
So you can see the desk of Voltaire, one of the titans of the Age of Enlightenment, and right next to it, one of his contemporaries, Rousseau. His desk is there as well. There's also a lot of great French Revolutionary history because all of the revolutionaries lived in that area, and that was their headquarters. The Pro Cup Cafe, they would go there to plot and strategize and philosophize and basically take down the monarchy from that cafe.
Hey.
Other things you can find there are copies of the last letters written by Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette before they were executed.
This sounds more like a museum than a
Exactly.
coffee shop.
It's so cool, but it's still a working
Tell me,
restaurant.
who are the kind of customers that are going in there on a daily basis besides tourists and stuff?
Quite a lot of locals,
Yeah.
like sort of middle-class folks who are, people who work in the offices nearby in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. And so basically you can go in there and roam around. There's all this cool stuff, memorabilia. And as I said, the last letter of Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, and then on the other side of the column, you can find a blood-stained letter from Robespierre, who was the leader of the French Revolution. How did his own blood get splattered on the letter that he was signing? Well, you have to take my tour, and I'll tell you about that.
Oh, I like it. Cliffhanger.
There you go.
Hey, that reminds me of another story that I once heard about blood in a painting at the Louvre.
Oh, yes. People
But
should check that out.
What episode was that? Number 5.
Yes,
That was
check
Corey
out
story,
episode
#5.
Now, before we leave, one last thing. If you're walking in or out of the Pro Cup, you can't miss this very valuable object. In a glass case, they are displaying an original hat of Napoleon Bonaparte. Why is it there? Because when he was a young military man and nobody knew him, he walked in there, he bought a drink, couldn't afford to pay his bill, left his hat behind as collateral, never came back to pay his check.
Wow.
So they're still waiting for Napoleon to pay off his bill.
I've got an idea. Let's go in there and not pay and leave our hat.
Hey, man, why not?
Well, I'll do it. They know you there. You got something to lose. I got nothing to lose. I don't have a hat either.
Anyway, that's a little bit about the very first cafe in Paris, Le Pro Cup.
Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna visit it. What does it cost for a cup of coffee though?
Oh, you can get out of there for like €4 or €5 for a cappuccino.
Fair
It's
enough.
reasonable, yeah.
Well, there you go. From Cafe Pro Cup to HolyBelly. We've run the full circle.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to join me on a tour, you can check me out. My name is French Fry in Paris, Facebook, blog, all that good stuff.
All that stuff. Same for the Earful Tower. You know where to find it.
You found it this far. I
Exactly.
mean, you got here.
If you come this far to the end of the episode, you know what you're doing, and we salute you for that. Let us know if you do a tour with Corey, and enjoy that coffee, Corey.
I will, thank you.
We'll see you guys again next week with another new episode. Stay tuned for that.
Earful Tower with HolyBelly.